Prophecy discussion. So there are a couple of things that stick out with this. I'm gonna prep like another tab, just like other stuff open, just so we can like immediately jump to it. Here we go. So already, like that first line. When the hands that shaped the horizon, the world was only just a dream, right? The world was only just a dream is sus on its own. But also, when the hands that shaped the horizon, we know of two horizons. Number one, the sky, like the actual sky. And number two, the scorched horizon, as in like forging the fucking scorched horizon. This could be more literal than we think. Like, which is a really crazy statement to just fucking lead with. Let me also turn off the Zenless SFX for a bit, because I know we have like the slooshing, the sloshing. So that line here, this is the menacing one. Like, this is the one where people should be raising eyebrows. Is when the first light shattered the silence, no one asked the price of prophecy. No one knew what makes a prophecy, right? No one asked the price of what we were gonna do. No one knew what was to come next, essentially. And that's the way I see it. Because prophecy, of course, can mean like we know what's gonna happen. Like we are intentionally like looking for signs of like what will happen in the future. It also can just mean what happens next. Like they can be using it as a way to say what happens next. No one knew the price of what happens next. No one knew what makes what happens next, or what would result in what happens next. But that comes after the first light that shatters the silence. To me, note number one that we can make here is that this seems like it's the prologue or the past. This is telling a story of something that happened once. When the first light shattered the silence, past tense. No one knew the price of prophecy. And to me that reads as like, when we were fucking around with ether, no one knew it was gonna end the world. When we were fucking around with shit that we did not know about, nobody knew it was gonna end the world. And so now we're here.
The sky, floating islands hover and fly, cold air sighs, engines in silent drive, I trace the skyline, grids alive, all hang so high.
So we then jump from the past, as in no one knew the price of what was going to happen, right? And this could be referential to some other stuff. I was speaking to Az about this too, and I'll like expand on that later. But like this precursor then moves into what seems to be modern, or at least like already realized Rose Califer. Right? Towers carve the sky, floating islands hover and fly. Then cold air sighs, and we've already known about like the cold air thing. I'm pretty sure there were lines about either cold air or about like the weather in general in Rose Califer. An engine and silent drive being like the Shiryu pillars and the other machinations that are under Rose Califer.
Engines and silent drive, I trace the skyline, grids alive.
And then this would be Sunbringer looking on from on top of the tower. Like this is her in her office essentially, looking outside and tracing the skyline with her eyes. It's describing life in Rose Califer, yeah. I think this line specifically, tracing the skyline, grids alive, is her like looking over the city as it is now, because this is now the culmination. Like we are now here based on what happened before, if that makes sense.
All hang so high.
Then seconds frozen and woven. This part's interesting.
Wake up, faded voices scream eternally.
This shit's cool. This shit's cool. As I spoke with Az about before, the line that he pointed out was, faded voices scream eternally, referring to ethereals like the most metal shit ever. Absolutely. I 100% agree. Seconds frozen and woven, then vanish softly all around. Be chosen, beholden, as echoes fell on the ground. So we know also that Pyrois, the entity, chose the proxy. Like, our proxy was chosen by Pyrois. And they outright say that. I don't know about the other ones. I don't know if they were all chosen by specific etheric others, if that was like the way they were going about it, or if like you even get to pick or what's going on with that. We still don't know the development specifically of an etheric other. But Pyrois, we know, chose the proxy for some reason. Time descends with gravity, dust and shadow and brevity. I think time descends with gravity is in reference to the development of the hollows, because time is warped by gravity, if I remember correctly. Yeah, according to the theory of relativity, it's not a traditional pulling force. Mass and energy warp the fabric. Yes, it's like a little like piece of cloth, and you like put a ball into the cloth. Yeah, it's time dilation stuff. Yeah, time descends with gravity is probably in reference to a Sam timer. Time is decay. Decay is dictated by gravity. Stronger gravity means more decay. I honestly, this makes me feel more confident in the fact that they are not doing time travel, believe it or not. I know there's a lot of mention about time here, but the way in which they're speaking about it feels like they can, like, it's over, you know? Like, they cannot go back and change. Like, Sunbringer is living with the consequences of what happened. But not just Sunbringer. And we'll get into that in a bit. But dust and shadow in brevity is interesting because it means that there was light directly after. And then faded voices scream eternally. This in specific, seconds frozen and woven, then vanish softly all around. Be chosen, beholden, as echoes fell on the ground. Where do we see the word echoes again though? We don't really, never mind, sorry, it's faded voices. To me, again, this reads as like flashing back to the initial hollow disaster. To me, this goes back to, imagine you're like sitting in your chair, or we'll imagine Sunbringer, she's sitting in like her big chair, and she's kind of just like thinking, right? And then as she's like looking over the city, she just has like a sudden fucking like recollection of what happened, like of the initial disaster, is what this seems like. Seconds frozen and woven, then vanished all around, right? Like this is like the initial hit of, oh fuck. Like time almost moves slower because you're observing the end of the world. Be chosen, beholden, as echoes fall on the ground. We know Pyrois chose the proxy. It could be that in this, Sunbringer was chosen by a creator or creator adjacent entity. Or, as like the last one alive, they are, like Sunbringer is the one who is chosen and beholden to the disaster, as they're watching everybody like fall around them. Like it reads like she's having a nightmare. Like she's remembering this as like she dozed off as a fucking nightmare. And then of course, faded voices scream eternally. These are the victims of the initial disaster. Like these are the people who are like turning into ethereals. And they, of course, like there's no fucking cure because they're ethereals. Which now that I think about it, feeds back into the world was only just a dream.
Nothing was written, but still they were built to last forever. I needed something clear to see. Oh, I needed something clear. I saw the future, all the moments at a distance. I had no hands to hold it. Nothing that I really have to hear. As I was talking to a
That is guilt, my friends. I'm so positive that's guilt. Something that's too immense to feel. What do you do? The more I like dig into this, the more it does read like Sunbringer is just fucking hollow Oppenheimer. Like we've been saying. She's just hungry, you know, maybe she got that Ogody Cap hunger. That's why she's like really good friends with Sigrid. They both got like that Ogody Cap stomach. I could see that. She needs a Snickers bar. You're not you, you're hungry. She's hungry for burgers. Oh my fucking god, Ambi's a Sunbringer clone confirmed. Holy shit. You heard it here first! You heard it here first! That's why they both got the silver hair! The line here is interesting. Nothing was written, right? But still they were built to last forever. This could be in reference to like multiple things, right? It could be in reference to how Rose Califer is set up right now, right? I think these were either the undisclosed tests of the like original stuff they messed around with, as in like they were built. Imagine like you're building proto Shiryu pillars and you think they're gonna like keep the hollow in there or the ether in there forever. Like they were literally built to last forever. They're like self-perpetuating engines with like this new super fuel source. Oppenheimer, she hopping on your Heimer till you prophecy. Fucking bravo. Bravo.
But still they were built to last forever.
I needed something clear to see it. Oh, I needed something clear to see it. Now this is where I get confused. This, I don't know what it could be related to. The way I can interpret this, Allison glasses, you know, maybe she needs glasses. We gotta take Sunbringer to a fucking lens crafters. That's like the 3.1 quest. Eldrada Sunbringer is getting too old. We gotta take her to a lens crafters. Sunbringer implants could be. It could be referring to her eyes. Rosetta data and her navigation algorithm. The implants make sense. Rosetta data, I think like makes a sense later on if we're assuming that this is like pre-disaster, right? The way I see this otherwise is like the hunger for knowledge. Like it really could be that she really wanted to see what this shit was and she hit the big red button and that's why the world ended, you know? I needed something, because it gets frantic here too, is my thing.
I needed something clear to see. Oh, I needed something clear to see.
And then in that moment, I saw the future, all the moments at a distance. I had no hands to hold it. You could take that in a literal sense as space-time bent and I saw every conceivable possibility, like I got hit by a fucking hollow purple domain expansion. You're like getting the influx of knowledge. However, again, if we're going back to the guilt analogy, I saw the future in all the moments at a distance. If you press the button that makes a city go boom and you watch the missile fly, you're seeing what the fuck is about to happen. Like you are like watching the consequences of your actions in real time until they happen. Yeah, I'm not convinced that she's the one who pressed the button. I think she was curious. I don't think she pressed the button. Like maybe somebody else pressed the button and in doing that, like being complicit to like the pressing of the button, that she was in that same place, you know, like mentally. You bet Topps did it? I don't think Topps was around back then. Unless like Topps was, you know, like the fucking president and they're like, they had like nuclear holdouts during the Hall disaster, whatever predecessor. I could see like somebody else doing it. And you know, maybe we still don't know who the fuck RK is. It could have been RK, and that's why RK disappeared into Hollow Zero, whereas Sunbringer is still in Rose Califer trying to like nuke the Hollows, right? This entire song is the Ian Malcolm too preoccupied with if we could. Yes. I completely agree. Like we were too preoccupied with if we could that we didn't stop and think if we should. So now we go back to the initial seconds frozen and woven, like witnessing in real time, oh fuck, the world is over. All of the endings that are bound to a point no distance can save. Again, this refers to not knowing, I think this refers to not knowing how to solve the problem. Like, if you don't know how to solve the problem, but you know what it's doing, like, the black wall will eventually envelop the world. If we don't know how to fix it, the black wall will take over the world, and the whole world will be hollows. Like, there's not much we can do. To a point no distance can save you. You can only get so far away from the hollows. There's the other, like, thought. We can think of this as happening on Earth, but also, we know the moon's entirely fucked. This could have happened on the moon. And what's happening on Earth is, again, a byproduct of the initial disaster of what happened on the moon that hit the Earth. The frozen line could be taken literally because of Remiel, yes. But if we're assuming that this is pre-disaster, Remiel would not have been born yet. Distance could also refer to time, so like distance in a fourth dimensional sense. Could be. Could be her knowing the creator's a malevolent entity and the creator got people to make weapons. Yeah. Yeah. But that's also assuming the creator is malevolent. I still am not convinced the creator is malevolent. I think the creator is just like a thing. Like just an existence. The creator, even as like a hive mind, I think is not even malevolent. I think it's just like expanding by what it knows to do.
Things that are bound to up on no distance can save. Strike the ground, raise the fire, cousin, do prophecy with no name.
But strike the ground, raise the fire, all turns into prophecy with no name. Strike the ground and raise the fire is the line here that we can say they're fighting back, right? Now we have begun to fight back. In response to seeing that all the endings have gathered in one place. Yeah, that depends if the creator is doing what it's in its nature to do, is purposely creating hosts and messengers and all that. Yeah, yes, exactly. Because you can't like just ask the creator, hey, I want power. I can't just say like, hey, can you give me this? You're like on a chain of command essentially, or like the creator can sense someone's desire level within the hollow, which is how the whole thing with Isolde and Sarah worked. Sarah really wanted the creator, and she had like a desire to meet the creator more than anybody for sure. But Isolde was powered by pure, unbridled fucking rage. Like pure burning vengeance. Single-minded fury, which is gonna eclipse anything Sarah had, which is why I went to Isolde. Malevolence and whether they're a danger to humanity specifically, yeah. If the creator is a hive mind of all the victims of the Hollows, you can see the title as Humanity Creator of the Hollows. Well, yeah, I think that's like a perfectly like reasonable take for it. Humanity Creator of the Hollows would be such a fucking insane name though. Like that would be so fucking nuts. I would love that so much. I do think like there is a non-zero chance that Ether, outside of being a power source, was meant to be like the system by which people became immortal, right? We don't know if the mind transfer tech was like perfected or around in a large capacity before the Hollow disaster. We only know 3 entities that have gone through it, which are Sunbringer, Magus, and Qingyi. We don't know how readily available that shit is. And we don't know if it's reliant on Ether either. It probably is, because Ether can like hold memory and hold information. Ether's, yeah, it's just an energy source. But it's an energy source capable of like recording information too, is the issue. Like Ether as like just an existence is constantly like taking in all the information in its environment. It is able to like superimpose every possible state of a thing within the Hollow. Which is why Idhari was able to like remake that town when she had like admin access. It breaks through my hands. Losing control of the situation. But now, next generation. It's not just about Sunbringer. I don't think the song is only just about Sunbringer. It's gonna be Rem/Sunbringer. I don't even think it's Remiel. I think this is very specifically about Sunbringer and Phaethon. Our Phaethon? Probably not. I think there was I still think there was an original Phaethon. I think there was an original existence that was either known as Phaethon or was like planned to be, right? Like in like the knowledge of the initial disaster and like as all the shit was going down, Sunbringer, knowing about this stuff, probably was working with the person who would become Phaethon. So this is not just a story about how Sunbringer witnessed the disaster. This is a story about like how a prophecy a lot of the time requires a sacrifice. And who do we know that is a perfected sacrifice? Phaethon! Lord Phaethon! If the OG Phaethon was like ours, they were an aura farming bum, yeah. Yup. It could also be that the OG Phaethon was the one who hit the button. We don't know. Like maybe they hit the button, they felt bad about it, now they're fighting back. But the thing is, eyes ignite the fire, I'm pretty sure. Strike the ground, raise the fire, all turns into prophecy with no name. We're building the way to fight back. Our prophecy still has no name. But after she loses control, after they have struck the fire and like made a prophecy with no name, it's not about her. Because it breaks through her hand. And sparks begin to spread, as in like, we are now starting to see motion. Like the fire is doing shit. Like they're starting to fight back. Fire in the prophecy just says Professor RK. My thing, RK has too many unknowns currently. Yeah, I wonder what the animations are going to be like. And I don't know why it would drop now. Like, it being just a stealth drop exclusively on Bilibili and then now like being official on Spotify and shit. Like, if they want to like grill me for playing it on YouTube, I can pull up the official version on Spotify. Like, this is out. Maybe the Bang Boo story is the thing that Sunbringer saw. I think that was just her life, like after all of this. Because also, the Bang Boo story has like a really interesting panel where it's like, oh, but what if I tell them I'm a Bang Boo and we're off to fight the Bang Boo king, but what if they found out that I'm a Bang Boo? Would they still like me? What if they found out that I was part of the reason the world ended? What if they found out I was originally part of like X faction that ended the world, but I'm trying to fight against them now? Would they still like me? Would they still trust me if they found out that I was part of the faction that ended the world, but now I'm trying to fight against them? But what you said earlier, B, I think the story is heading towards that direction. If the whole point of Zenless is about blind ambition, hubris, and living with the consequences, because that is what we see the hollows are. Even if we don't know how the hollows are made, even if all of this shit is like pure speculation, none of it gets confirmed, we only have the hollows and we only have the Shiryu pillars and Tops. That is explicitly what's going on. Like, Tops is utilizing this world-ending force to make money. Like, they are the definition of hubris because they think they can control it, but they can't. But then, if a hollow disaster happens, the companies and the families that are involved in Tops and the people living around the hollows are the ones who suffer the consequences. They literally have to live with the consequences of hubris, even if it's not theirs. Yeah, I think Phaethon being so obsessed with making sure everyone survives that they end up corrupting into an entity with the same motivations as the creator. I think genuinely that might have been what happened with Pyrois. Yeah, and Tops with all their wealth have no incentive working towards getting rid of the hollows because they make so much money off of them. Which is why they also like are very likely related to the original reason why the hollows started. Like if the rich people were just in bunkers and they avoided like the entire nuclear fallout of the like initial disaster, and like their kids are still around like making money, they were already set up from jump to be like the rulers of the world and control the economies and like have all the resources. Enchainer is like somebody who is like placing the chain on somebody. It's like putting a leash on your dog, which is why it's interesting. That's why I think it's like you're controlling the etheric other. Like an enchainer is someone who controls an etheric other or is capable of like making them, forcefully or not. So as we go through this, right, there's an instrumental I'll play on loop, I think. Hold up. I would hope that's why we have two proxies, kings. And like to answer B's statement too, I think it would be really cool if that's why we have 2 proxies, is because one of them does get super fucking obsessed with making sure everybody's like okay. And then we have to play with the other one for a bit at least until we like get them back. Yeah, even if it's not with like an intelligent cross, if it's not like something intelligent, it's fine. They don't lose their brains entirely. They still have like some prime directive when they corrupt. It seems like it's a prologue of the past, as in like specifically the start of the Hollow Disaster. Number 2, I think there are themes of guilt. So again, it seems to be like a prologue like the past. There are themes of guilt and rebellion. And like the big one, number 3, it's probably not just about Sunbringer, right? Probably not just about Sunbringer. And the reason I say that, if we go back to these, all forgotten stories and muffled cries sink into the arid sea behind a pair of eyes, awaiting a chariot ablaze with searing flames to roll across the lightless surface of the abyss. That's from Pyrois' Mindscapes. We got really similar lyrics there, didn't we? We got really similar lyrics in the song. But also, forgotten stories and muffled cries sink into the arid sea behind a pair of eyes. And then, to me, that also reads, now reading it again, as someone who's given up. The arid sea behind a pair of eyes is somebody who is watching that has completely abandoned the thought of fighting back. They're just waiting for a savior. Awaiting a chariot ablaze with searing flames to roll across the lightless surface of the abyss. As in, awaiting Phaethon's chariot to nuke the hollows off the face of the earth. But once they've already, like, you know, taken over. And then grip my reins tightly or let my flames close around your throat is an echo from fate itself. Echo meaning it probably happened once already. Pyrois is saying that to the proxy, sure. But it being an echo from fate itself probably means this is something that happened before. If we go to, again, the undying flames of vengeance, right? What does homie have to be vengeful about? He's been alive for like a week. Having a chud for a master, you know, facts. But again, being the undying flames of vengeance, like, Pyrois has been around the block before, is what this reads as. Like, he's been around the block before. He's seen this shit before. He's not happy. He's the undying flames of vengeance because he wants to get his fucking get back on whatever the hell he lost to the first time. So, being a few words occasionally gives off a dangerous vibe, can communicate telepathically, yada yada yada. Pyrois is like a wild stallion that's not yet fully tamed, and might still pose a certain danger. He's been active since at least the academy been sealed away, yeah. And I don't think he was too mad about getting sealed away. I don't think that's the issue. Because you guys are gonna have to forgive me for a potentially hot take. You think he was more mad about being blamed? Maybe. That's a good way to look about it. That's a good way to look at it. He was mad at Wise's cowardice? Little bit too, yeah. But I don't think that's something he would be vengeful about, right? I don't think he'd be like out for fucking blood because Wise was a pussy. Do you think the animations will change going forward once we made peace, or will it stay the same? We don't use it like a fucking trank gun. I feel like, I don't know like where the trank gun explanation came from, like in the writing room, but I don't see a world in which we're really gonna have to use it on Pyrois specifically. I think we might have to use it on another etheric other. I don't think we're gonna have to use it on Pyrois. And my hot take, I don't think Pyrois is like a bad guy at all. I don't think Pyrois, even as scary and as evil as he seemed, I don't think he's a bad guy at all. Well, I think like even if it calms their ether energy, the like analogy of it being a trank gun is fine. But I don't see us using it against Pyrois. Because I think instead, if we look at Pyrois not as like a bad hombre, if we don't look at him like a bad hombre, and we look at him like somebody who's trying to get shit done, but he can't do it himself quite yet, so he needs somebody else to lock the fuck in, and the world is at stake, his piece of shit mindset makes a little bit more sense. Can we look up the device chamber nightmare to see his exact words? I should have like a clean version. Then why did Sunbringer give us the gun? I mean, it could be for a worst case scenario. It could be because they still believe that they need to chain up Pyrois. But I don't think that, yeah, after 100 years of failure, he's sick of not having someone that can use his full potential. I think that's also a good way to look at it. Like, because yeah, it could be just like a measure for everybody with an etheric other. as a form of self-defense or like self-preservation, you know, in case somebody like loses control again. And also, yeah, because we would, knowing they exist, they probably know we're gonna run into more than one. And in that case, we can kind of just boop, put them to sleep. Yeah, so if Pyrois is in some capacity the being that was the original Phaethon, being transferred from person to person and that failing constantly, that pissed him off. Because nobody could lock the fuck in, or finally somebody is able to handle it, and he's got like one shot. Because he fucked up once, right? Pyrois could be the etheric other of the original Phaethon. If the etheric other is like your shadow self, like a persona almost, that is also like a coagulate of ether and porcelain and whatever, Scorched Horizon Pyrois could be like the fully realized version of what they were going for with the original Phaethon, and he failed. And so they just like digitized him Code Lyoko style, and they put him in the fucking implants. But now being back and being able to do shit, he's with the proxies, right? Because he's a dickhead, like through and through. But once wisens up, pun intended, and says like, listen, I'm not afraid anymore. Because Wise says something very, very interesting. Because unfortunately the VOD I have recorded, this does not have audio. Yeah, he was happy to help when he figured out what to do. Exactly my point. Once he saw the proxy was trying to do shit with their powers, he's like, you know what? You got it, kid. That's what I'm looking for. And also, there's probably, he could have started some shit. Like Pyrois at that point probably could have said, yo, my turn, I'm taking over, I'm not giving this shit back. We going round 2, baby. And he just yoinks the body, kills the worm, sure, but then goes Scorched Horizon again, and now we're back in like 2.8. But he didn't. What happened in 2.8 was like a pure loss of control. And that was like specifically due to Thaumiel's influence, I think. And you know, now that I think about it, it being Pyrois showing up in response to Thaumiel makes more sense than anything, because if all Void Hunter weapons are pieces of or like in some way related to the creator, Pyrois showing up Scorched Horizon, that is the full defense response. Like, you have awakened the defense system. Shit is fucked. We're talking to the creator right now. Creator Ether has entered the system. We are now gonna go full send. We're just gonna like burn the whole thing down. Like, we're done. Maybe like a Triss Spice Girls situation? Yes, exactly. He also calls Wise and Bell Phaethon. He doesn't refer to them by their name. He calls them Phaethon. That's why I think Phaethon is a title. A prophecy with no name yet. A prophecy that would would eventually bear the name Phaethon is the way I see that lyric in the song. It's been a while. You haven't changed the slightest. I play this at 2x speed. If I didn't force this meeting, your first instinct would be to continue denying my existence and continue hiding, right? So he's more mad about him hiding than anything. To save your life, they locked me in here after that day. And again, that's probably because he was just gonna take over. He finally had a host. He could just use this body and now make good on what he was supposed to do. The fuck I said, okay, facts. I killed your most precious partner. I destroyed your dream. But then Wise owns up and he's like, no, that was me. And then of course, yeah, we knew. We knew that we never lost him. And then here we go. Here's another very important line. And you're the one helping me slowly break free from my chains. So if Enchainer is not Wise and Bell as people who have like etheric others, Enchainer would be the person who links them to people, meaning like Carol, essentially. Maybe the Scorched Horizon we saw isn't its true form. It could be incomplete. Like, I don't think that was a complete form at all, because he was still like doing crazy shit. But if he was complete, I feel like you just would have nuked the place and then gone to the next. So tell me, Phaethon, how long do you plan? Okay, again, this is important, I feel. So tell me, Phaethon, just how much longer are you planning to keep running? He's debating whether or not they're getting Taco Bell tonight. Facts. So tell me, Phaethon, how much longer are you planning to keep running? But again, using the title Phaethon. Like he refuses to call them by their name. He keeps calling them Phaethon, which I think that is like the key like indicator here. That Phaethon is more important than the proxies, more important than the project, more important than the siblings, more important than anything. The fact remains, we still don't know the true significance of the name Phaethon, but I'm sure we are not the first. And to my mind, Pyrois is the first, which would make sense with how he's referring to the proxy. He's kind of just tired of them being a little bitch, which is why he's being so extreme. If he can shock them into like action, that's the fastest way, right? If he's evil and he forces the proxy to do something about him, he's like, all right, here you go, your powers are awake, now go solve the problem. As long as you use my power with enough restraint, the tragedy at Helios wouldn't repeat itself. You naively believe that. The ugly history you despise could never catch up to you. Yup. The vague posting king, facts. But you know as well as I do, the painful memories, they've never gone anywhere. But you know as well as I do, painful memories, they've never gone anywhere. Your family, friends, companions, even your very existence, all of it is the price you paid for crossing that line. Your family, your friends, your companions, even your very existence. Because at that time, on awaking Pyrois, on being chosen and awakening to that power, you no longer are just yourself. You are now the bearer of the fate of the world, Phaethon. You cannot just be Wise anymore. You cannot just be Bell anymore. You have to be Phaethon. There has to be a Superman. There has to be a Spider-Man. There has to be a Phaethon, which I think is really fucking cool. How much video content of the game do I have archived? Honestly, not much. I go through and like I get the cutscenes in the comics, but now I'm starting to record the stories while I do the stream because there's like a lot that you can miss. This is all stuff you cannot replay, by the way. If you don't record this, you cannot replay this. Yeah, Void Hunter weapons being passed down was from Miyabi. I do think Yunquei is like a microcosm of Helios. In like a bad way though, in like a very, actually rather a very primitive way. Because the Qingming sword was picking out people like Pyrois was. But they had that shit under lock and key because, you know, you use the sword, you get dementia, and then you die. The Void Hunter weapons are bound to etheric others, and Helios wanted to break ground by tying etheric others directly to people to make living Void Hunter weapons. They would be doing essentially what the creator does with making messengers. I think the process of making like a living Void Hunter weapon is like the inverse process of making a messenger, which is kind of why Scorched Horizon looks the way it does, and why Sunbringer looked the way she did. They faced my such loyal companions, they faced my flames and didn't flinch. What a shame they have no idea what awaits them, huh? They faced them, they did, like, again, this doesn't read to me like his plan was to kill them. He doesn't gloat about like, oh yeah, I beat the shit out of them. I can't wait to go and fucking kill him on the next go around. I won't let you hurt them. And then again, he mocks the fear. He doesn't really mock the idea of like, oh, I'll be a self-sacrifice. He mocks the fear of like not using the ability. Time means not, to me, this doesn't mean shit. To you, you don't have time. Peter wouldn't have had to make all the messages that they just installed WhatsApp. Like, hello, facts. They don't got Ethernet? No, they kind of do. You seen like the little threads that came out of Sunbringer? They specifically got Ethernet. So time means nothing to me anyways. They got dial up and we're dialed in. Ayo! Smash them! I can wait, and when you show the slightest crack in your resolve, I'll take over your body with the greatest of ease. Again, note how he's not talking about physical weakness. It's when you sense the slightest crack in resolve. When I finally see that you're not capable of seeing things through, I'll take over. So Pyro is talking smack still, and I'll make you watch everything you treasure dragged into a fire of despair and burned into ash just like last time. As a consequence for being a fucking pussy. But again, if he is incapable of using the power properly, that's gonna happen regardless. You know, Pyrois probably can just Johnny Silverhand him. For whatever reason, he was locked up like real fucking bad until the ether like gave him energy. Maybe they just drained the ether out. Oh, that would make sense, actually. That would make sense. Because Pyrois is like the collection of all of the proxy's newly absorbed ether. And remember, we have to remember that the proxy themselves was purposely not going into the hollows at all, period. So they would have no way to regain the ether that would then become the etheric other. So they probably just had a way to slurp the ether out once, just like Remiel did. Sunbringer can probably do the same thing Remiel did, or Remiel may have been on deck for that. Or something similar to that. But again, this does not read like an actual threat. Especially after Wise accepts it as his own fault. I'll make you watch as I burn everything. No, actually, you didn't burn everything, I did. Me too, Mag, me too. It was, see, look, it wasn't you. I'll make you watch while I burn everything just like last time, but it wasn't you. It was me. I lost control. Like, I'm the one who did it, right? Back then, the one who ruined everything, the one who got Serpico killed, wasn't you. It was me. Pyrois, he's just saying shit, dude. I really do think Pyrois is just saying shit. He's doing his best to get the most, like, the strongest possible reaction out of Wise. Or out of Bell, like whoever you picked. Out of Wise. Out of Wise. Thinking I could make our teacher proud, it was me who thought I could fulfill Helios's ambition. It was me who believed I could reach out and grasp the sun with these hands. Number 1, rage baiter. Facts. But he's rage baiting specifically for this response, because now Wise has the conviction. He has the conviction Pyrois is looking for. He's not like backing down. He's not running away. He's not saying like, oh boo, I'm scared of the power. I don't want to do the Ito power thing. He's saying, no, like, fuck off. I'm tired of you. You ain't shit. And he's like, all right, bucko, that's what I want to hear. If the proxies took the bait and they weren't ready, it was a test, yeah. And he's like, all right, then you're still just a fucking kid. Like, I can just take over. In the end, these hands couldn't even hold your reins. These hands could not even hold your reins. I couldn't even keep you under control. That line, I think you were saying that before Bomba, was like a really good one. I like this line too. I mistook determination for ability. In my naive conviction, I thought I had what it took to change the world. And because of that, because of me, Serpico died in that experiment. He's going to talk, no, just a derogatory version. Facts, bro. How does this affect the porcelain market in White Fate Peninsula? Yo, those charms are going to start selling. You better get to Spook Shack ASAP. Invest in some Spook Shack stock. Porcelain charms. Porcelain charms. Drive away the etheric others. Okay. This is the line, right? This is the good line. This is the line that I think explains a lot. I know you're dangerous. I know destruction is in your nature. Again, the proxies know about what Pyrois is. Like, more than they've already spoken about, more than they've let on. They know about the history, because Pyrois did choose them. They've probably had, like a talk before. But I know destruction is in your nature. Meaning that he knows that he just kind of, like, jumped the gun. But even so, I can't put all the blame on you. Jump the gun in like the literal sense. Wise was like a toddler holding a Desert Eagle. Rather, Wise was like a toddler holding the Pyro's flamethrower from TF2. Wise got that fine and cut, yeah. Going through the cycles, looping the cycles. All these years, even my sister and I never spoke about what happened. We never were free of it. It was always there. Yep. And again, recontextualizing Pyrois like this makes sense that like he is the first Phaethon. I've been running for too long. And again, now I'm not running anymore. From facing that tragedy and from facing you. Because honestly, if we look at this from another direction too, like this is another way in which we're looking at it, we can interpret facing Pyrois and coming to terms with what happened as accepting responsibility, not just for what happened, but for using the weapon. We are accepting responsibility for what is to come, for being the person who actually is meant to eradicate the hollows and seize the sun. You are not my excuse or my scapegoat. I can't just say Pyrois did it and like fucking like be absolved of everything. My cowardice okay, this is another one. My cowardice also made you, who once chose me, grow full of resentment in the darkness. But again, I don't think at this point Pyrois is necessarily resentful. I think he's a little miffed, maybe a little bit more than miffed. But I don't think, like at the end of the day, he needs to acknowledge that this is a kid. Or he was talking to a kid at one point, and the kid was scared. And now as an adult, they're like, hey, I understand it now. I understand it now. Let me see that ether. My cowardice also made you, who once chose me, grow full of resentment in the darkness. But at the very least, I can decide this. From now on, I won't let you or Bell or anyone else pay the price for me. I won't let you pay the price for me, as in Pyrois, the entity, paid the price, which is really fucking interesting. This is the proxy acknowledging that they should have been using the power the whole fucking time. I let go out of fear once. He stopped controlling what was going on once, but not again. Whether you still choose me or not, I'm taking hold of your reins because it's my responsibility. And again, we go back to that mention of responsibility. As someone who is chosen to bear the title Phaethon, they don't really have a choice. They drop their very existence already. You're not just wise, you're Phaethon. You have to be. Yeah, he paid the price of being sealed away. He also paid the price of an action. Wise forced, or rather, the proxy forced Pyrois into the one thing it probably does not want to do, which is be inactive. If Pyrois is meant to be a force of destruction, especially targeted towards like the creator and the hollows, the one thing it doesn't want to do is waste time. But the cost of Wise and Bell fucking up and like losing control was exactly that, was wasting time and running away from the responsibility. And living their lives as Wise and Bell, instead of living their lives as Phaethon. Like the real intention of Phaethon. Not the proxy cool name. Like the go into the hollows and kill ethereals kind of Phaethon. Why was the Bringer final nuke the one thing to start breaking the seal? Because it was such a condensed amount of ether. Like directly in their face, and Pyrois just went slurp. But also you have to think of the fact that Pyrois chose the proxy. They're sealed away, yeah. But as like a symbiotic entity with the proxy, and as somebody who probably wants to see them succeed, Pyrois is also just an active force of defense. Like they are actively defending the proxy at any given point. Like they're not gonna let anything happen to them. Baby got given Deagle, baby do oopsie, baby blamed Deagle, Deagle woke up when baby now man, Deagle called man little bitch and make man killer, man take responsibility for oopsie. Bingo. That could be a YouTube short, baby. That's fucking content. You know about the proxy being playable since you learned they're Pyrois' father? But again, like this, I think the thing that's being missed here a lot, and it's like the quiet part out loud, is the responsibility is like to abandon who you are. The responsibility is to abandon the self. The responsibility is to become Phaethon. You sure talk big. And again, with that pathetic willpower, again talking about his drive. And he's at this for a while. Like he's in there for a hot minute in the fucking contraption. The crazy thing is that all that liquid is porcelain, but he sits through it. You know, he deals with it. He's like, oh, I'll lend it to you for now. The name Pyrois, I'll lend it to you for now. But that's also interesting because you can also interpret that as what other names can you lend? If you can lend the name Pyrois, can he also lend the other names? Is this like the head honcho as the one who selected Phaethon? Wise opens his eyes and the one staring back is Biabi. Stop, dog. That would have made me cry. Like, genuinely. I wonder if the chair sank into liquid. I think because there has to be like some sort of etheric component to porcelain, it probably just like almost atomized. Like it turned into air and we inhaled it. That, it wouldn't shock me if it was like almost like an evaporate. The name Pyrois, I'll lend it to you for now, but my flames will never die out. My flames will never die out, I do think is still in reference to the Song of Prophecy. Like, I think if we go back to the song and we listen to it again, strike the ground, start the fire, eyes bearing witness to the flame, that's this guy. That is this guy. Maybe Porcelain is like the anti-ether? I think Porcelain is like the perfected version of like incorporating ether into an object. It is, you can make an ether vacuum if you condense enough lumite or like enough porcelain. If you have a dense enough amount of porcelain in one location, you can make an ether vacuum. And that's, I'm pretty sure, what happened in the quests with Monoto's like big guy. The two proxies being incompetent and sacrificing, the only way to be competent is by being one. Well, if we take it as each one of them is meant to be a horse, then each one of them is going to get their own unique etheric other, right? If we take it as one of them is essentially the chosen one, as Phaethon, then they are the one who has to drive the chariot and lead the rest of the horses along the path of killing the hollows. The guy, have we learned already? Have we learned? Of like the lore creators, I'm probably like the biggest LARPer. I started the latest and I like just make connections. I don't really know too much. I have to go back and read a lot. Something in Gnostic religion can, where demons and angels have several names, but they cannot use any false names. This is anything stronger than themselves, or else they detonate. You know, that's interesting. And given the weird Judeo-Christian like implications with Sunbringer, it would make sense. Yeah, and also the Ark is Babylonian. There is a lot of Babylon stuff going on. All the enemies are named after Speaking of, now that we've gone through this again, let's add this last little section here. The prophecy seems like it's about the past, like the initial hollow disaster. There are themes of guilt and rebellion fighting against it once they get their bearings. And the song is probably also not just about Sunbringer, but about the First Phaethon. Like making the First Phaethon, generating what would be the prophecy. Phaethon as the prophesized one to get rid of the hollows, but they have been perfecting the tech since. We're getting the Gates of Babylon with Sunbringer for sure. I mean, that was what Sarahbringer's power was, right? Sarahbringer essentially had Gate of Babylon. Wow! Wow, what fucking foreshadowing, huh? Wow. What do I think they're gonna do with the big ass worm? I think they're gonna take the city and move it somewhere else. No, just kidding. I think they're gonna like slice the worm in half or explode it. I can see the worm exploding. I can see like Remiel like flying directly into the worm's mouth and going boom, 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 and it like explodes all the way down, and it's like cool and awesome. There's like epic music playing.